Sharon, you have the table.
Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome. I know we have a lot of panelists from around the globe, and we also have a lot of MTI investors from around the globe. My name is Sharon Cousins. I'm based in South Africa, so it's 3 a.m. We promised this call to many of you around the globe, and here we are doing it. So I just want to say a very warm welcome to all you folks from Montreal, Canada, Washington, Jackson, Mississippi, Perth, sunny California, Georgia, Michigan, Ireland, Texas. You're not going unnoticed. Alaska, Jamaica, Canada, South Dakota, Quebec, Detroit, Florida. There are folks from all over on this call, and that just gives us an idea of how big and how wide this really goes. So we're going to get straight into it. We've got a vast panelist. I am going to hand over to Chris. He's going to introduce you to a couple of the folks that we've got on the call. This is a call run by RAG that is, based all around the globe. We are MTI investors ourselves that have got the MTI investors at heart. So, Chris, if you'd like to take the floor and just go through who we have on the call, please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking your time to join us this evening. We really appreciate the presence of Fraenkel and on Nelson and Fraenkel. Sorry, guys, got that wrong. Still learning how to say that. Thank you so much for having, at such short notice, actually managed to gather your wits about you, and during a holiday period as well. We really do appreciate that. And the reason it was critical for us to get you on this call as well is, first of all, to get a flavor of what the problems associated are if you are a foreign investor, which it makes up at this stage more than 46%. At this evening, I've just been through the statistics, and 23 to 30% of the actual live users on our website at this stage of the game are coming from Canada. From North America, from the USA, and a very large portion from Canada and also Australia at the moment. A lot of people from Australia attending this Q&A this evening. One of the things I've told everybody is this is a global epidemic, maybe. Yes, another one, another virus. We have it in our financial systems as well. We have people who are viruses. So I guess we got infected with that as well in this last year. So everybody, thank you very much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask one of the gentlemen or somebody from Nelson and Fraenkel. I haven't really had time to prepare this. Stuart, would you like to take the floor, or is there someone else you'd like to appoint just to introduce your team?
Well, sure. I can take just a minute here to say hello and thank you to both Chris and Hendrik for inviting us today. Right now I see myself and I see my partner Gabe, and Gretchen was over there. She seems to have, oh, there she is. There's Gretchen back on board. And I know we have Daryl as well. And, when you called us today and we started studying this already. We spent the last few hours looking at it and just trying to appreciate the complexities of what is going on and how all this could potentially play out here in the United States and abroad. And so we're very much interested in hearing from you, Chris and Hendrik, to what's going on your side of the fence, on your side of the pond, so to speak. We have a lot of experience in this type of law. We do a lot of class actions, a lot of securities, FINRA, what we call mass torts, and we do a lot of other individual, very high profile cases. So this is in our wheelhouse, and we're looking forward to assisting you in any way that we can. But I want to just kind of introduce you to Gretchen here. You can see Gretchen Nelson. She is my partner. She is the Nelson of Nelson and Fraenkel. And as I was telling you, she was out at the ranch earlier today, so she wasn't available for the earlier call, but she's here now and wants to participate.
Thank you. I'm sorry to have shortened all your holidays and had to bring you into the office. So I'm really sorry about that. But quite honestly, I think it's necessity. We're at a very difficult stage at the moment in the liquidation. We need to try to get our liquidators or liquidators appointed who actually know this type of business and what they're dealing with and can understand the complexities of the Bitcoin and the way it works in the financial markets. If I'm not wrong, and I put this out to the panel, is this not the biggest scam of its nature that we have record of? I think our esteemed friends from South Africa can also tell us what the enormity of this is in actual fact, where it comes from a global point of view. I think before we go there, I'd just like to give a hand over to Hendrik as well. He can maybe just flip through the various people who we have here. I'm not going to tell you about RAG. I'm going to leave the website to do that for you. And we did quite an in-depth video, which has been posted on YouTube. So if anybody needs to sort of find out about who RAG is and what we are in, basically we are a group of a group of concerned investors who are trying the South African style of class action, to be honest. At this stage of the game, we got involved just to find out what is the best thing to do, and also to try to sift through all the things that are happening on social media, because in the end, social media always permeates to kill the man, hang the man, and it doesn't solve any problems in our local society and the real society, the world that we actually live in. So I'm going to just hand over to Hendrik. He can maybe just brief you on our esteemed visitors from South Africa, who are also advocates and solicitors, liquidators. I don't know, Hendrik, has Vaughan, our investigator person, advocate, made it this evening? Hendrik?
I see there's someone starting to connect to the audio.
Okay.
No, I haven't seen Vaughan yet.
Okay.
So I presume he's still busy with something else.
Okay. So do you want to just introduce Advocate Toby Bernardi and just give a very small brief on that? I see that we do have Christopher Roos, the liquidator, who's one of our main players, also on this evening. So would you take us just through a couple of names quickly, just to give people a bit of a feel for who we have from the South African law side?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Advocate van Staden, as Chris alluded, from the National Bar Council of South Africa, and part of the team that brought the application for the provisional liquidation. Just want to introduce my colleague from the Cape Bar down in Cape Town. It's Advocate Toby Bernardi. He was also the advocate that requested the postponement for the granting of the initial provisional liquidation in the Cape Town High Court recently. Then my second colleague that I'd like to introduce is attorney, Mr. Pierre de Tooy. He's an attorney down from Cape Town, South Africa, and he's specializing also in Ponzi schemes as well as irregular business practices. Welcome, Pierre. Then the third person I'd like to introduce is our specialist liquidator, Mr. Christopher Roos. He has extensive experience as a liquidator, having been a liquidator for more than 20 years. Christopher, welcome to our conversation. And Christopher is based in Pretoria, South Africa. Thank you, Chris.
Okay. And then there are a number of people from RAG. Basically, we are investors. And as I said, if you watch the video we produced yesterday, where there was quite an extensive Q&A, as a result of a bunch of media trolling as well, you'll get a good idea of who we are and how we were formed. The next point here is, I think just we need just a brief on where we are today, and this, one of the reasons we called this meeting was so that people can understand that they need to assist us to help to promote the correct liquidator before the master of the court appoints the liquidators. In other words, cast your votes. If you're a creditor, go to our website, go and look at our preferred list of creditors and cast your votes. That is really, really important. You're not giving up anything. You're not risking anything. You're not going to lose anything, but you are ensuring that we get the right liquidators appointed so that we're not at risk at getting people who don't understand this currency or this asset. It's not a currency in true fact. It can be converted into, it can be sold just like any other commodity. At this stage of the game, some countries will regard it as a currency, but a lot of people actually just regard it as a commodity. And in the South African industry, it is a commodity, but it can be used as a very liquid asset. Obviously, it can be put up as collateral as well for those people who understand it. There is a tremendous move in the world at the moment to have a internet-based currency, and there is a lot of trading that's coming from that. My own company at the moment, it's one of our alternative ways of paying people. People can nominate to be paid in Bitcoin. And that is just so much easier than having to go through the banking systems. Obviously, the money comes out of the banking systems, goes into the, is converted into buying a commodity. The commodity is used for a payment. The person on the other side, when he receives it, has to declare it to the authorities and also put it onto his tax form as an income. But it is an instrument that is very easy to use, and it's very, very fluid. I think that's the greatest danger. It is extremely fluid. But that being said, at the same time, we must understand that it leaves a track. It leaves an electronic track which can be traced. So the Bitcoin or portions of the Bitcoin, when those transactions take place, they leave electronic tracks. And we have specialists in that field. This is why these specific liquidators were chosen. Also, there is an experience there. So I wonder if, who would like to field that? Advocate Bernardi, would you like to field where we are at and what this process is that we are going to go through, all of us as creditors? And that's everybody. Everybody in the world is going to be party to this process, which is going to take place in South Africa, which was started when the provisional liquidation was granted by the court. So would you like to take us through that, please, Advocate Bernardi?
Yes, thank you, Chris. Good morning to everyone from my side as well. Yeah, Stuart, I'm mainly talking to you. We are at this stage waiting for the appointment of the liquidators. Hopefully that will happen on Monday morning or at the latest on Tuesday. That's the first step in this process in order to proceed with the administration of the winding up of this company. We first need the liquidators to be appointed, and once they are appointed, we can take steps in order to start the proceedings. Firstly, we have to get those the liquidators that gets appointed, get their powers extended. That's a court application, and Hendrik will tell you about that as well. In terms of our company law, we have to get the powers extended. The normal process is that the creditors at the first meeting of creditors or the second meeting of creditors will give them the necessary authority to proceed with the winding up of the company in liquidation. But we can also, during the course of, or as soon as possible, bring a court application before the Western Cape High Court in order to get their powers extended, for them to immediately start the winding up process. It's important that they get the authority as soon as possible to start with their work. This will take an enormous amount of time, and we want the process to start rather sooner than later. So that's for now where we are. Hopefully we will get the liquidators appointed in order to start that process.
Okay. I think just from an investor's point of view, the question comes up, why do we want these liquidators appointed? you know, and I think what's come out in our discussions with various people is the moment the liquidators are appointed, they can step in and start taking legal action to stop the bleeding off of these assets. In other words, they can get the necessary legal procedures in place to freeze the assets, because nobody seems to know where these assets are at the moment. And because of the nature of this, that also gives the legal, the people the legal power to get in other investigative authorities online as well to put locks on the assets, and that includes the locks on the actual Bitcoin itself. So maybe if Advocate Bernardi, if you could just sort of highlight, you know, what's wrong with what I've just said, and just add to that.
I agree, Chris. I think because of a company being a legal entity, it's important that somebody take charge of the business of this company, and that is what we call the liquidators, or the liquidators will take charge of the business of this company in order to secure assets for now, and to see what must be done in order to make sure that nobody else can deal with assets of this company, or with the Bitcoin that hopefully is still available somewhere.
Okay. I don't know, Advocate Hendrik van Staden, if you would like to just give the people a bit of an update of the forensic investigations which have been going on in the background, and your interaction at this stage with the police and the criminal case that has also been laid here. I think the most important thing we must all realize is there is no doubt that there is a massive problem with the actual assets themselves. They are out of control, whether that means that the person who had control of the assets that were invested in MTI ran away with them, or whether he was hijacked, or whether he was put, you know, he died, or we have no idea. Nobody has been able to locate the major controller or signatory as far as these assets are concerned, and that is a serious, that in itself is a breach of trust and regulations, that there was only one person who was in charge of this atomic button, to put it mildly. So maybe, Hendrik, you'd just like to give us a little brief of the investigations that has been taking place by the solicitors, advocates, and various other people behind the scenes as far as the actions of our liquidators are concerned.
Thank you, Chris. It's a brief update. There was an investigation by the Financial Service Conduct Authority in South Africa to determine if everything is well at MTI, since there was concerns regarding to the registration of MTI as a financial services provider, which they were not registered as such. The FSCA did bring out a report stating that they did find some inconsistencies with what was reported in the media by MTI, and which they found with their own investigation. This resulted in a criminal charge being laid in November 2020 at a Stellenbosch police station by the FSCA against MTI. Note must be taken that MTI only have one director, Mr. Johan Steinberg, who was responsible also for the running of the company on a daily basis. And according to reports, he's one of the few people who's able to do payments out of wallets of assets that was entrusted to MTI by investors. Since Mr. Johan Steinberg disappeared, and since payouts that stopped approximately on the 8th of December last year, there was great concern, especially with investors, that their cryptocurrencies that's in the wallets are not safe. What happened is that there is people already started doing investigation, and also cooperated with various law enforcement authorities, including American authorities, which resulted that on certain of the wallets, there's been wallet trackers been put on to that cryptocurrencies that's in that wallet to ensure that all transactions can be traced and to prevent some of the, if you can call like it, hot cryptocurrencies or cryptocurrencies that is most probably compromised from being transferred to a third entity. Very important, it was flagged also by the FBI in cooperation with the American authorities to protect the investors. There's also a lot of investigation going on behind the scenes to ensure that all the Bitcoin that was paid over to MTI by investors and which is still in the possession of MTI's wallets or in third parties can be found. And as soon as the liquidation process is approved and the extended powers of the liquidator is granted, that assets can be obtained and be safeguarded to ensure that it goes to the interest of all the investors and that no one can transfer it to third parties who's not entitled to that cryptocurrencies. Chris?
Thank you. Okay, I think now what I'd like to throw the floor open to our American visitors on the panel this evening. If you have any specific questions you'd like clarification on, either from a legal point of view or from where we are standing as far as, you know, the situation is currently, just maybe highlight certain things. Yes, Stuart, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, Chris. So we see this, and this is obviously preliminary. You know, we haven't had a lot of time to dig deep into this, and we will dig deeper. But I see this kind of in two pieces. One, we've got a South African liquidation claims process that needs to be dealt with and in recovering the assets. And then we also have a United States side of the fence, and I'll call that a United States securities and fraud litigation. We were able to locate some stuff from the Texas State Securities Board, who is working with the FBI, and there's a tremendous amount of information there. And a number of the bad players are actually here in California. Two of them are currently in bankruptcy. So there are a lot of players here and in California, in Nevada, and a lot of times they may say they're from Nevada, but they're really not. It's just a shell corporation there, and they probably do live here in California as well. So we have that was another angle that we have to look at. And when we kind of analogize it to the Bernie Madoff scandal, there's a lot of similarities here as well. So the authorities in the FBI, and they're going to be digging deep into that and learning where did this Bitcoin go, and they'll hopefully be able to trace who it went to. And then if there's a clawback provision, and that may take a lot of work because we're going to have to look at different countries, and then we're going to have to look at the different international laws that extend between these countries, between South Africa, between the United States and some of these other countries. We'll have to take whichever law is strongest to help us and assist us in clawing back and getting this money recovered. So there's a lot obviously to do. There's a lot for us to learn. Gretchen, did you have anything to add, or Gabe, on that front?
I only had a couple of quick questions just in terms of, I got the percentages of investors in different areas. Do you have in what I saw, there seems to be a difference with the company reporting that they had 90,000 investors in 177 countries. And then there were some press reports indicating there were 28,000 investors. Do you have any sense of the total number?
At this stage of the game, we haven't been able to get hold of the books themselves, and this will be part of what has to go, because what's happened is the actual data itself is actually the data machine, the machine running the data wasn't in South Africa. So there is also the problem of that. And we were told, and this is the information I have, I don't know if Hendrik wants to elaborate on that, that the actual machine that was running this whole process was actually located in India, and they did allude to it being in India. Now, the unfortunate thing for MTI is the Indian law is extremely, extremely adverse to fraudulent activities, to the extent that that's one of the places you can still get the death penalty, and it has happened. So the Indians, what we're sensing at the moment from what's happened at the moment, they are protecting that machine with their lives, and literally with their lives. No, there's no doubt about it that if this spills over and they are seen to have colluded here, then there's going to be massive problems for the people who ran the operation for this company. And it could be totally innocent. I don't think we need to think. And we are also saying to them, please, you know, you have an obligation to the investors to look after this. And we've been putting that out to everybody who's involved in the management structure, because this is an international incident. There's no, everybody in the world is involved in this in one sense or the other, and it's a global currency. So I think there's a lot of new things and new law and lots of experimentation within the law that will come about as a result of this. But I think the important thing to realize here, and we've noticed this as well, because they had a support system on MTI. MTI had a support system. And what the support system has now been saying to the MTI, they've kept the computers running, the computers are running, the people can still get in. So nobody has actually issued any cease and desist in that country, because legally MTI is not functioning at the moment. And they haven't stopped or shut down the computers. Am I correct? Can the investors maybe just say yes or no for me there? Have any of you logged in just recently? I know people were logging in as yesterday still and seeing what they had, and nothing has changed on their wallets. That's correct, isn't it? The electronic side. No adverse. Yes. It's correct, yes?
Yes, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Henry.
Yeah,
you want to say it just quickly?
Yes, the interesting thing was the time when the actual trading stopped on the platform. I remember the exact number of members that I had on it, and I have not logged in the last week and a half due to the pressure of everything that's happening in the team. And just earlier today when I logged in, there were 5 more members that was added to my network somewhere downline, which does not make sense. So I can't verify any of the information currently or who these members are. I wasn't even troubled to actually understand why that would be the case, if someone is tweaking on the system or not.
Okay, and the reason we've noticed this is that this help desk is now pointing people to the RAG group and our website and saying, if you've got any questions, go to Get a Quid. The good thing about it is people are coming to where we are publishing the truth. The bad thing about it is, in a way, we are now being blamed that we are part of the MTI management, which we are not. We had no hand in that. So somebody out there is, I think, I want to take the positive side of that. There are two, as I say, there are 2 issues here. But I'll take the positive side of that. Someone has got a conscience and they've realized that there's a massive problem, and they're trying to point people in the right direction at the moment. And I want to say that's what's happening. So I think, I don't know if that answers your question. Now, the question about the actual statistics, and we are not claiming that we know. The media at the time that MTI was running was talking, the media from MTI. In other words, their narrative was that they had 280,000 investors. That is in question as well, because a lot of people, because of the structure of the Ponzi scheme, would have had 4 or 5 people under them, and maybe even their dog, because there was no check. I mean, you could have put your dog with your surname on there, and your dog could also be earning you bucks, because obviously, what do? Everybody below you gives you 10% back. So you get into the system at 90% of the cost. So now, why not have a dog and a teddy bear and a couple of other things there as well, because nothing is being checked properly. So I think most people would have had 5, 6, or 7. We want to run that statistic, but it's not real. I don't think the 280 is accurate when you look at individuals. The number of individuals will decrease probably by 5 or 4 or something like that. That's my thinking, the way the human beings would have been, because you could open multiple lines just by changing the name and creating an email address. So and then you're entering the system at a lower percentage. And then if you want to invest more, you just have some more ghost looking guys from your past and go and re-erect your grandfather or something and put him into the system, and you've got another 10% off. So, you know, it's, and you're getting that money back. So you're putting it in and getting it back. It just depends how clever you were and what you did, but there was no checks and balances here, and you could do what you like. So these are the sort of things that we're thinking. But from the statistics on the website, the number of visitors, it looks like, because remember, our website is only for people who are interested in MTI. It has nothing else. If you're an MTI investor, somewhere maybe you would have got wind of us, and if you now want to know what's going on, I believe you would come to our website. Now, if you look at that, the statistics quite clearly say that the visitors, from the visitors' point of view, 48% of our visitors, 48% of our visitors are external to South Africa. And the big four players there are America, Canada, Britain, and Namibia. Those are the main four players, and that makes up quite a large percentage of people. But when you think about the financial players, if that was converted to money, I am quite convinced that America and the UK are probably the largest financial contributors as far as, or asset contributors, Bitcoin contributors in this. But at the moment we can create the situation to seize that data, which I don't think any of the authorities are going to stand to do anything but support the South African team to do that, especially if we've got people in America saying, listen, guys, we know this is our team. We are joining this group, and we need this to be solved. And obviously, because the moment you start using dollars to buy Bitcoin, and it's your good American dollars that are part of this as well, a lot of your authorities are going to get involved as well. So, and they are involved already. We know they are involved already. Okay.
And on that note, I gather the FBI was mentioned. I'm assuming the Department of Justice is investigating this. And if so, is there some U.S. Attorney's Office in any one particular state that you know is?
Nobody's put up their hand yet. You are the first people who put up your hand to say, listen, guys, we're here. We want to find out what's going on, and we want to look after our, you know, whatever, however you want to do it. I think in our discussion this afternoon, Stuart had quite a, you know, listening to him, he had a really good thought about it. I actually think Stuart can probably answer this better than I can, but do we know? I've got the players, all the major players from an advocacy and investigation on the panel here tonight. And I doubt if anybody has got alternative information. Is there anything else there, Hendrik, that you might be aware of that I'm not aware of?
No, we're not aware of anything else except that the FBI has become involved. We don't know of any other law enforcement agencies yet in the United States that are involved with MTI yet.
And then with the FBI, do you know a particular office in any one state?
No. Okay. We're not aware of which specific office of the FBI yet. As we said, we are aware that there is communication with the FBI through the embassy in South Africa, but who the specific people is in the United States itself who's working on it is not known to us yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because we have, like I said, the Texas State Securities Board issued a cease and desist on MTI and numerous other entities involved with this scam. And so, you know, come Monday, you know, we'll be able to dig in a little bit deeper and start contacting some people. And we have some wonderful tools out here called the Freedom of Information Act, and we have some contacts in the DOJ as well. So we'll be able to flesh some more on the US side of the fence out and be able to share that with you, Chris, and with everybody in an effort to see what nexus there is in the United States as well. Because like I said, this is kind of two fronts that I personally see. I see one front in South Africa, and then I see another front out here. And, you know, we don't know. As I was telling Chris, our feet are planted firmly in midair right now because there's a lot of information we don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to do a lot of digging come Monday and be able to start making inroads on the U.S. side of the fence. And like I said, we're looking forward to it. This is exciting stuff. I just actually got inducted into the International Society of Barristers, which is a very limited group of lawyers across the world. And so I've got a lot of fun contacts and we'll be able to dig in. I'm sure stuff is going on in the UK as well. This is an international scam and there's going to be a lot of people involved. I wouldn't be surprised if Interpol isn't involved already as well.
Yeah, no, Vaughan Victor is very much involved and is a consultant as well with the Interpol and the European Union in things, and he's on our team as well, so he knows a lot about the law as far as that is concerned. So this is already in play as far as from our team. But I think you also alluded to a really interesting point. When we had our first meeting this afternoon, which you can also just elaborate a little bit on. I think you are from our discussion, you are perfectly placed to take this into all the other countries, and you have so many contacts with other law firms on an international basis that we could alert those specific law firms as well and get them to join this action in a way that we can all share the information, because I mean that's the real strength of the internet. If we do that right and correct, we can help each other to get these assets liquidated or get these assets back in control. I'd like you just to extend that, Stuart. You sort of just you played that along a little bit about your other contacts as well.
Yeah,
and I think
sure.
you just touched on that now, because that's the third element here. There is the local, obviously the law needs to be supported in South Africa, and our action in South Africa needs to be supported by all the investors, because that's their interest. And the South African community need to realize they have a responsibility to the world, because this was the perpetration or the transgression happened within the bounds of South Africa and under South African, how can I say, almost the South African tent. So that's there. Then there is the American side, which is your responsibility, but we all have a responsibility, and you alluded to this as well this afternoon, where we've got this third element, which is the international community out there as well.
Yeah, so you and I, Chris, I thought the brilliance of what you were talking about earlier was locating some liaison counsel in each one of these jurisdictions to kind of take the lead and to protect the members of their community. And so that's what we're looking at. We're excited about, representing and protecting our community, meaning the United States investors. But at the same time, you need to have the big guns out there. So, for example, my friend Julian Chamberlain at the Stewart firm in the UK, John Dawson down in Australia, John Beer in Holland, or Joe Ferrante in Canada. There are a lot of really top shelf big gun lawyers with a lot of assets and a lot of expertise in this area that we can collect, and we can add to your website that these are the people that could be willing to assist those people, because you want someone in your location to protect your interests and understand what you have and what your laws are. And I think another thing is having connections with the government. We have a lot of connections in the government. In fact, Joe Biden now is stepping up to the place. I don't know if you remember the BP oil spill out here, but there was a lot of litigation that went down, and there were things that were done for Joe Biden under the table, like a lot of that legislation and stuff was actually written by people we know very closely, meaning us. That they used out of the White House to put in the structures and put these things in place. So we have those contacts, and we're looking forward to using them. But some of these people in like the Netherlands and the UK, they have those contacts as well. And the more people we can collect, to put pressure on these different entities, not only governmental entities, but the law enforcement entities as well, I think the better. This is going to be hard to trace this stuff. And we need to claw back what was given to some people improperly, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of this. Our investigators are like bulldogs. They really are excellent liquidators, and they will stop at nothing. And I'm really sorry you guys don't have sight of our main bulldog tonight, which is our auctioneer. this man, you know, he's just scary all over. But if you
Yeah.
go back and watch some of our other videos, you will see him there. I mean, he just sits there and he says which direction, you know, you just say that direction, and he'll go and get what needs getting. So I think that that's the point. And what I'm trying to do, which I think is really, really important for everybody, and you've said the one thing that will make this successful is if we literally can band together and work together to get hold of these assets. Where are you going to hide when the whole world is running after you?
Right.
You've got nowhere to go. That's where it ends up. Okay, so let's just follow through a little bit. Is there anything else at this stage of the game about the actual South African process that needs to take place apart from making your vote if you're an investor? Please, guys, go to our website, look at our liquidators, and if you don't like them or you've got a reason not to like them, at least go and make your vote. But we're saying we've put those people onto our website as the liquidators because that team is ready to work together and gives us a massive resource, which is coordinated. That's really what that is about. And we've got people with big teeth and very, very good sniffer dogs in there. They know what they're doing. They've got a track record of recovering millions and millions of this type of currency in the past. I think it's important that that Hendrik just alludes to that and just says, look, these people have, and that's important for people to understand. I think also we've got to establish the facts here. This is really important for everybody now to accept. We are sitting with a company that either the company and its managers and its founders and the man behind it have been trying or are trying to scam us as far as this is concerned. And if the Russians have taken Johan Stein, then the Russians have got the Bitcoin and we've got to go and find it where they are. So whatever the story is, it needs to be solved. And what we've said, and every single time we've gone out, we've said to the people who know where this is, whether you're a wife, a mother, a sister, a worker, a telephonist that worked for this company, come forward, give your name to our people, and let's try and solve this. And if you are the main launcher, if you are Johan, come forward and say, here I am, I'm this honest guy, and I've been cheated by whoever. We don't care what's happened. Just come forward and let us solve this problem. But that invite has been out there, and when the liquidation was posted, I know that the liquidators went to the attorneys driving this went to a lot of trouble to make sure that everybody in MTI knew it was coming. And we stayed the liquidation because the first time it was brought before the court, we went and spoke to Bernardi, Advocate Bernardi, Hendrik van Staden, and the people who were involved, and the solicitor who was involved as well. Pia, you were involved. And we said, guys, give us an opportunity to see what's the best course of action for the investors. And these guys pulled back and said, yes, we'll do that. And they gave us took away our Christmas, just took it away. Said, you've got to work over Christmas, and we'll be back in court to discuss this. And after we'd had numerous discussions during that period of time, which are on record, it was decided that this was definitely the best course of action. And the facts are, right now, the only way to get this back is to get those liquidators in place as soon as possible so they can start doing their work. Would anybody on the South African side maybe like to add to that, or have I done anything wrong? Toby, I know every time you switch on your lights, you're back here and you're waving your cloak at us. So I give over to you, Toby.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, Stuart, this is a South African registered company. So for now, the process must start over here. Then we need your assistance. And whoever can assist in finding as much of this as possible. So we anticipated right from the start that we will need the assistance of everybody across the world to assist us with winding up this company. And we're glad that people like yourself and Gretchen are on board as well. So,
No, we're looking forward to it, and we're very honored and privileged to be asked to assist. And so thank you very much, and look forward to spending some more time talking to you, Toby, and the rest, and Sharon. And I see Henry and Pierre and Stefan. There are a lot of people who haven't said anything yet, but look forward to working with all of you.
Yeah, we have to work together. We have to find a way through this for everybody. And I also think the important thing we need to say to everybody is don't despair. We've already had one person commit suicide because of this thing. And that is the last thing. We need to get out there and tell people, look, there's hope. It might be a long tunnel with a light very far away. That's not a train coming. That's the exit point. So please don't despair, because if we've got a good team of people on this, there is hope. Please don't do this. You've got to just got to hang in there and work with us. I know there's that light at the end of the tunnel is really a light. It's not a train.
And Chris, one quick question. Is there any information relating to when the claims forms are going to be developed, and what information is going to be on those claim forms? What kind of information these investors that are listening right now need to collect to assist them in making their claims?
I would like to ask Pierre Dutoy just to come in on that. I think, Pierre, are you the best person to answer that for us? Or does somebody else want to take that question?
Thank you, Chris. Yes, I think with regards to the details of the claim forms, I think perhaps Christopher would be the most appropriate person to address that. I think that's something that falls within the scope of his speciality, because that's part of the administration of the liquidation of the company. So I think I'll pass over to him.
Christopher?
Good morning, everyone. Trust you're well. Okay, in terms of the claim forms, what will happen is I would suggest that it will be placed on all the platforms with a video and explanation of how to complete the forms. On the claim forms, it will state, listen, I'm person X, MTI is owing me so much money in terms of Bitcoin / in the Rand value, and that will then be handed in at the master's office. We'll just have to confirm and find out, because of this new rules and regulations and the COVID and everything, how we're going to process the claim forms. If we normally the original claim forms must be submitted, but we'll find out how it's going to work. Obviously, there's a lot of creditors in this matter, but we'll have to work around that. What I would suggest is, if you load the claim forms, we'll give an example of exactly how to do it. Attach your Bitcoin, the back office screenshots, any information that you have that shows that you purchased the Bitcoin and that you transferred it to MTI, and with all the credentials and your bank details to where the money must be paid over to. We'll still discuss and find out exactly how we're going to pay out the money to the investors. Normally, in terms of the Insolvency Act of South Africa, it should be paid out via EFT to a bank account. But I see there was other cases in other countries where they paid it out in Bitcoin. So we'll still have to work that out. But we'll give, the claim forms are not very difficult. It's these people owing me X amount of money. Here's my proof, and we must just confirm that it is the correct claim, and that will obviously be checked with it on the system. So that people can't lodge false claims. If they lodge a false claim, it will be a criminal offense. So they must just do it right. But like I discussed with you, so we will do a video explaining the process and how it works and everything like that, and where it must be sent. You will get a central place in every, maybe in the UK and USA, that they must send it to, and then from there on pass it on to us here in South Africa.
Right. I think that opens the door for yourselves, Stuart, because the authorization and the collecting of those claim forms being coordinated by solicitors firms that join us in this, and then being authenticated by those specific solicitors firms standing up and saying, we have checked the veracity of that within our own country, and this is a thing. So that coordination can be real, and people don't have to travel thousands of miles to do it. I think there is a process there that needs to be worked out in detail. with the liquidator and the master of the court what he will accept. But
yeah, that's why we have to liaise with the South African lawyers to determine what exactly is needed. We have things, we have declarations here, we have affidavits, we have under penalty of perjury of specific states, we have under penalty of perjury of the laws of the United States. And so, you know, and we do a lot, like I said, international litigation, and each country has their own form of authorization that we have to comply with. So as far as the United States is concerned, I saw someone from Mexico. You know, we can obviously help other countries. And, you know, if you give us a list, we can help you, Chris, in, you know, locating the people that you're going to need to assist every single one of these people that are involved with your group. So like I said, it's important, and we're looking forward to helping.
Okay. All right. I just want to, I think just to clarify something as well, Christopher, and please, you must correct me on this. The steps are very clear at the moment. The first thing is vote for your liquidator. Vote, help us get in the right people to do the liquidation. So we are imploring the international community, the Americans, everybody who's spread all over the world, get your vote in so that we get the right liquidators in, so that we can get the people in there who can recover this. That is the first step. The next step is for those liquidators to start filing all the class actions that are necessary, all the actions that are necessary, the legal actions that are necessary to recover all the assets that are involved here, and to start doing the rollback and getting on to getting hold of all the data. Nobody can act at the moment because nobody is empowered. So we need to be working to get that empowerment so that we don't get a bleed of the database and the documentation and everything else that's out there, so that we can go in and attach as much of this as we can. That is really, really important. And that's why we are making this, we are doing this, and we put up this website, is to coordinate the action so that we can get a positive result. The next stage is then it becomes more intricate, as the way I see it. And that's what Christopher was talking about. How do I get my stuff? How am I going to be able to dip into that bowl of soup that's now been collected, and how am I going to be able to verify it? Now, one of the things we've been saying to people over and over and over again, get in there, log into the MTI system if you can, get into the MTI system and make screenshots of everything you've got, and make absolutely sure that you collect the Bitcoin that was supposed to be paid out to you, the Bitcoin you've got in your trading wallets, the Bitcoin you put into the system. But the way you evaluate on the form how much you are going to put on the form and say on the form is what you've got in the overall system at this stage, which is due to you, either still in trading or that you've requested to be paid out to you. There were 3 elements here. I think, Stefan, were you the one who laid this out, the 3 different elements of how that credit comes together? But it's what is in that system at the moment that you think. And each account has to have a separate form, because each account, you can't now say, well, my dog, my cat, my teddy bear, and all the rest of these guys, I'm going to all put them all together into one, and that's my one vote. No, every login onto the system is a different account. So you need to be able to evaluate and submit a vote for each one of your accounts. And then whether that was a minor or that was a sub account of yours, all of that can be resolved later. At this stage, it's really simple. What's on the account, you go for. Stefan, did you want to come in there and just clarify that at all?
Chris, yes. To arrive at the value of your Bitcoin in MTI, currently we chose to add the trading pool value, the income wallet, and what's pending in withdrawals. Those 3 amounts should give you what is in your MTI account.
Yeah. And if you can't get in there, then make an estimate and say, I couldn't get in there. I estimate it's so much, because eventually we believe that that documentation will also, all the electronic data will come into our control, and we would be able to rehash and rehash it. And at this stage, we've got lots of questions, people saying, well, I got paid out some and I put some in. I said, none of us can go there at the moment. We're not interested. We're interested in what's there at the moment. That just that final figure of what the balance is on your account, what's due to you from your account in total. If you were to liquidate the whole of your account, what would be due to you in Bitcoin? And then that has to be, on the current forms, has to be turned into ZAR. Guys, you might not like the currency. That's not the point. It is South African law. And the next stage, once the liquidators are appointed, the next stage from the investor's point of view will be to have that representation, Stuart, with you guys to help them through that process of the actual claim. Is there any questions or things that we need to discuss on this point at the moment? Yes, Sharon, go for it.
Before I ask a couple of questions that we've got from the American side, because there are so many questions being asked and I'd like to get to them. I also want to mention it does not mean that everybody is going to get their money back in rands, and that's a lot of people's concerns. So we just need to reiterate that it's the law that we need to put it into a rand figure now, but that doesn't mean we're going to pay you in rands and cents at the end of the day.
Hmm. There's another interesting thing that I think that might need to be discussed here at a later stage is as you quite rightly alluded to, and I think Christopher also said, there is potential that this can be paid out in a different form of asset as well. But that has to be properly sorted out with the master of the court. Christopher, am I right in that?
Yes, that's 100%. If I could maybe just go quickly through the process in terms of the liquidation and just a couple of steps as it will work out. Okay, obviously the liquidation was granted. Hopefully by Monday, Tuesday, a liquidator will be appointed. We will then immediately proceed with extending of our powers and going freeze the bank accounts, attach all the assets that we can, and starting with the formal investigation and proceed with all the legal actions required to recoup all the monies and bitcoins, etc. In terms of how it works with the liquidation process, there will be a first meeting of creditors, so where creditors can lodge a claim. It doesn't mean that you have to lodge a claim in the first creditors meeting. We will obviously advise all the investors when that meeting will be. They don't have to be there. It's just a process where the master normally sits. I look at, we've got people, representatives that we send in. They then lodge the forms at the master of the High Court, and the master of the High Court either accepts or rejects it. And we can also, if there's a claim that's not correct, we can also reject the claim. In terms of later on, there's a second meeting of creditors where we normally. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have many Americans and people around the globe, and with our accents, can we speak softer? We don't think we have an accent. We think they have the accent.
Okay.
But if you can just speak soft, like slower and just, yeah.
Okay. 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 So there will be a second meeting of creditors whereby the liquidators will also send out a report stating the assets and liabilities and what has happened and occurred so far. Then the creditors can also lodge their claim forms. Most probably in this case, there will be special meetings where creditors can also lodge their claim forms. And then later on, there will be a liquidation distribution account. That's an account that we will draft showing all the income and expenses of the liquidation and the percentage that will be paid out. Money will only be paid out to creditors who lodge a claim. So if you don't lodge a claim, you won't get paid out. Then if the liquidation is final, it's over and done with, then you're out. You're technically out. You can't come back and say, listen, I want to claim now. Then it's too late. So it's very important to get those documents in order and get it to us to also see that everything is correct before it is lodged.
Okay. Technically, I want to, if we sort of, I want to sort of put an end to this process at the moment and then field questions, so that everybody is always saying my videos are too long and they fall asleep halfway through it. Well, I want to give them the opportunity to switch off at this stage. So I just want to sort of terminate the video at this stage in a sense of putting a marker there. And then I want to field questions. So what I want to do now, and I'd like you all please just to hang with us maybe for another half an hour as we field questions that have come to us, and Sharon will go through those questions. So I'm going to give the panelists, everybody, an opportunity now to just from their own perspective, anybody who feels they have something to contribute right now at this point before we start fielding the questions. So who would like to go first there? Toby Bernardi, Advocate Bernardi, would you like to, have you got any comments you'd like to add to this at this stage?
Thank you, Chris. Just to add what Christopher has said, we have a very structured Insolvency Act in this country, one established over years, and that will be used in order to wind up this company to the best of the liquidator's ability.
Okay. All right, and I think that what we'll ask, we'll work with Christopher and the other liquidators to put onto our blog site, what is on our website, what is this process going to be, and some sort of timing as well, because that's everybody's question is, you know, what's the timing? But please, guys, the timing it's going to take as long as it takes. There's nothing we can do about it, but there is hope. That's the important thing. Okay, Stuart, would you like to just add, sort of terminate this before we go over to questions? Have you got anything at this stage you'd like to add?
No, I think we've covered it all. I mean, the only question I had for Christopher or any of the liquidators is, if they're appointed as a liquidator, is there a specific, under South African law, claims period time? Because here in the United States, generally they say, okay, you have to have your claims within 120 days, 6 months. You know, is that process? I'm sure there's a process there. And this is just to give the people on this call an opportunity to understand that they got to move quickly and they can't wait around.
Yeah, normally we can't say, listen, you must lodge it within 3 months, because this is also quite a complex and a big estate. So, but it's very important that once we start with letting them know, listen, get the documents in order, that we'll must put in a cutoff date to make sure that it's there. And there most probably will be a second cutoff date, but don't wait for the second cutoff date. Get your documents in order and get it to the correct people in the countries, and they will then send it to us. We'll liaise with that, and that was very important. Obviously, it's going to be thousands of documents, but it's very important to get that in order, and to, as soon as we get that, we can also establish what is in the pool and what can be paid out, instead of doing that, you know, 6 months or a year or 2 years later from now. So we will start putting that into the system, and then we can see what's the dividend that will be paid out or can be paid out.
And if additional assets are located, say 6 months from now or a year from now, then people will get like a pro rata share of the delta between what they lost. Is that the way it works?
Yes. Yeah. So what happens is, let's say, for an example, you invested, they're owing you $1,000. And we recoup some of the Bitcoin and the money that was paid out of MTI to other people, that is going to be recouped via a legal process, let's say sequestration or liquidation and freezing of their assets and bank accounts, and recouping that back into MTI. So all the transactions that happened that was fraudulent or illegal or not correct 2 years and back, we as liquidators have authority to cancel that and request that the money or Bitcoin be paid back. And that's how, that's how it works.
I think the really important thing here is also to realize that getting the right liquidators appointed here is it doesn't stop with MTI. It stops with everybody that siphoned off money through MTI. All the players are going to be under the investigation as well, and their assets are going to become part of what has happened here. So if you were a Johan Steinberg or you were Steinberg or you were his gardener or whatever, you are going to be investigated. And if there is evidence that somewhere along this process you were benefiting from this illegal operation, and I will say it was illegal because nobody's been able to tell us that it was legal, even in all the challenges that have taken place in the last 3 months. Nobody stood up. Everybody has turned around. Everybody who's been associated with it or asked to stand up to prove the veracity of this operation has actually declined in the end. The trading house, which the MTI management called the FX trading house, which they went to and said, well, you know, we were trading here. They turned around and said, no, we have some of your Bitcoin, but you did no trading or very, very limited trading. So and then Steinberg's own organization, which he set up and said this was the trading house, has also proved to have been pie in the sky. So as far as the current evidence is, this is all, it is a fraudulent operation. I don't know if advocate, and I want to say advocate very clearly, Advocate Hendrik van Staden, just tell the people out there, because we're getting people that are turning around and saying, no, this is real, it will come back. What are you guys up to? You're being nasty. It's this, it's that. Guys, face it. Face it. If you don't take action, and if we don't take action, if the people out there don't start going after this stuff, it's going to fritter away and these people won't be held to account. And this is our action. And we're not, if Steinberg or any of the MTI come back and they say, here we are, we're ready to tell you everything, here are all the Bitcoin, or here's what I've got left, then, you know, just, that's it. We can all go to bed at night. But we've been every single video I've asked them to come to the table. And all of them, the Marxes, Sherry, the whole bloody lot, come to the table. The whole world is asking you to come to the table. Why don't you just come to the table instead of trying to put out all this fake news in the background? Hendrik, would you like to just allude to that position currently as far as that responsibility is concerned?
Yes, basically, as we all know, there was an act of insolvency that was committed due to the failure by MTI to transfer the Bitcoin to the investors when they started requesting it around about 8th of December. The first person, actually, Mr. Anton Lee, already requested on the 1st of December, and they were unable to transfer it. Since Mr. Johan Steinberg has disappeared, MTI themselves says, but we are not able to make the necessary payments. So currently, the MTI is not functioning as a business. That's also why it's in the best interest of the investors that MTI got provisionally liquidated and will most probably be liquidated in totality as well. It also must be noted that it's also very important that foreign investors can go to attorneys, but while it's very important to ensure that your best interest is taken by heart, that we have communicated with Fraenkel and Nelson attorneys as liaison counsel to ensure that there's a nodal point in the United States from which foreign investors can operate and which they can communicate to, so that we only got one entity that communicates with the liquidators and make it then much more easier to give feedback to the investors, rather than having 110 lawyers running around to communicate to one liquidator and also to look after the interest of the investors. It's also very important to have an international player on board, as many of the investors is people from other countries outside South Africa, and especially the United States. As was alluded to earlier by my colleague as well, most of the investors in MTI from the US are people that do reside in California itself. Chris?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Stuart, has anybody else on the panel got anything else to add at this stage before we start trying to field some of these questions? Okay, all right. So it is a fraud or a Ponzi or a something, and we have to get control of this situation. That's where we are at the moment. And the first step is, please guys, your vote counts. You all voted, or some of you voted for Biden, and we don't know how much of that was fake, but it was all good. It's going to end up good. So at least we're all going in a direction. Let's go for this. Okay, let's get this sorted. All right, now I'm going to ask Sharon, do you want to hit the guys with some questions, and we'll just have the panel can field these questions. Do you want to go ahead?
Thank you, Chris. And I think it's important that we handle the questions because it'll cover so many areas, and not only will the investors get some sort of answers, but everybody else on the panelists will then also get an understanding more of MTI, the workings, and what we've already done already. So I'm going to direct the first question to Advocate Hendrik again. I apologize that you're doing a lot of the talking at the moment, but this question is coming up a lot, and it's a two-sided question. I received an email today from Anushka Net, Lutting attorney, requesting a nomination form. Who are they, and is this form mandatory for all members of MTI? And who is MTI? Liquidations.co.za. Do I support them?
Okay. Anushka Net is an attorney from Lutting Attorneys in Rondebosch in Cape Town. And they also brought the application for the provisional liquidation of MTI. However, their application was filed after hours. So it was our application that was granted by the High Court. They are nominating a specific liquidator, which when you enter the website, my MTI, that takes you there. And that is the person that they are supporting as a liquidator. As was also indicated on the ENCA news a few days ago, you do not have to go to that specific website to nominate a liquidator. And as correctly said by the news presenter, you can go to any liquidator to submit a claim, who will then to nominate such a liquidator to be on the estate of MTI. However, as also alluded in earlier videos, it's very important that when a liquidator gets appointed, it is a trustworthy person, firstly. Secondly, it is a person or institution with experience when it comes to irregular business practices or Ponzi schemes or pyramids. Thirdly, it's also very important that that specific liquidator do have experience when it comes to working with cryptocurrencies.
Yeah,
I'm not yet to say you must nominate a specific person, because that's open for the individual to decide. And since certain attorney firms might have decided to go with a specific person, it's up to them.
Thank you for that, Hendrik. And just so you all know, people are still asking where can they cast their vote. It's very simple. Go to our website on www.getacquid.com, which is being posted over and over in the comments, and there will be a list of a couple of liquidators that specialize in the cryptocurrency world. So you select who you want. We're not telling you who to. There are a couple there. Make your selection. Get the form filled in. Get it emailed back to the solicitors, to the liquidators, so that your vote can count. It's very simple. Write down your BTC value, but also convert it to a Rand value. So put both on the form, make sure you sign it, and it's that simple. Let's not complicate it. We want to try and keep this as simple as possible.
Okay, I think there's just one other thing people need to know. If you by accident have been conned into some form that you've signed at this stage of the game, that does not affect your claim. It's got no effect on your claim whatsoever. This primary process is just to give the master of the court an indication of which liquidator is supported the most. And we are, why is RAG supporting these specific liquidators and firms and things like that? It's because we know that they're stand-up guys. I think, does that make sense? I'm using stand-up guys. I don't know what the Americans call it. Is it the guy on the horse with a gun, or the sheriff, or whatever? I have no idea what it is, but they are stand-up guys with the ethics that will get proper solutions here, or a best possible scenario.
Thank you. Next question by David from Colombia. How is the location of a person unknown today with all the technology out there, cameras everywhere, travel ticket purchase records, cell phone records, registrations, etc.? In the first 48 hours, such a search had to be made. Why have they waited so long?
Do you want me to answer that?
Unless you want to hand it over to somebody.
Yeah, I have no problem. Is somebody putting up their hand for this one? Okay, I've done a little bit of research on this. The first thing was, it was very clever. It was, I'm out of the country to go and do something on a server. So, and there was a long period of time before people started looking for him. And in the meantime, MTI was spinning all sorts of stories to protect his position and where he was. It's only later that people started saying he's in Brazil. From the information that's available, which I have seen, and I'm not saying this is correct or incorrect, from the information that I have seen is that the information itself is saying that he had gone out of the country, but there's no proof he actually took the flight. So, you know, where is he? That's the problem. I don't know, maybe the authorities know, but at this stage of the game, there's nothing that we can report where he is at the moment. But he's not, guys, he's not the solution. If he's hiding or running or dead or whatever, he's not the solution. The solution is to get the law to go after him. What are you going to do if you actually find him? What are you going to do? Find him in Brazil, he's in Rio de Janeiro. What are you going to do? You're not going to solve the problem for anybody. You know, you're going to kill him. Is he going to hand over all the Bitcoin to you? Are you going to then try and run away with that Bitcoin? You're not going to get anywhere because the authorities have already started tracking it. That's not the solution.
Okay. Johan's wife, while we're on this topic, supposedly has control on them, according to Aldo. I don't know where you're from, Aldo. And Clinton Marks, a co-owner, should also respond. How come none of these people have been responded or tracked?
My answer to that is the same. You're going after the wrong things. Get the liquidators and the people who know how to do this type of thing to go after these people legally. We have to support the law, and we have to hold the law to account to get this resolved. And the more firms like Stuart's firm and the more firms that come to this table and say, look, we want to know what's going on. How is this being solved? The more power, the more we can influence the law to actually take correct action here. We need eagle eyes from all over the world, coordinated eagle eyes on these people to help the investors get this resolved. That's my approach to this.
Yes, Chris, if I can just add to that as well. That is just pure speculation. Because until the liquidator is not appointed and he takes then control of the estate, there's no real confirmation that the persons who were now mentioned do have access to the system and access to the Bitcoin wallets.
Chris, can I perhaps just add something? I've been quiet all evening, so let me.
Was it difficult, Pierre? Was it difficult to be quiet?
Well, difficult to keep awake. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I had a coffee some time ago. Just on that, as we've explained before on this forum, is that there's the procedure in terms of our insolvency law in South Africa, whereby we can apply to court simultaneously with the application for the extension of powers of the provisional liquidators. We can apply to court to also convene a urgent insolvency interrogation. We call it the section 417/418 inquiry. And that is a process whereby we can be able to, well, we meaning the appointed liquidators together with the legal team, to interrogate witnesses that have any knowledge whatsoever about the affairs of MTI. You can have them in inquiry where they are obliged to appear and where there's certain criminal penalties if they don't appear and if they don't answer. So you can have that going, of course, provided that you know where the specific witnesses are and you can actually serve subpoenas on them. So let's for the moment we can leave out Mr. Steinberg from that process. But as for the rest of the management of MTI and any individual that has any knowledge about the affairs of MTI that's in South Africa or at least within the reach of the legal system, we can have them in an interrogation, insolvency interrogation, within, I want to say days, but let's call it weeks, you know, within weeks from the time that the provisional liquidator gets appointed. So that can, there's a process that's got teeth and it's very effective, and I think QB has already alluded to that. We've got a very, I think, a very effective insolvency system in the South African law. Chris?
Yeah. Okay. Sharon, do you want to carry on with your question?
Next question from Nahom. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Were you able to find any firm for Canadian investors? Where should we send our requisition forms? The forms are still available on our website. You then still send it to the liquidator of your choice. Okay, now that we've thankfully and gratefully got, you know, this team on board, and you know, we've got all these people, Stuart Fraenkel, etc., we will now be able to move into the Canadian space and the European space, etc. So we'll be putting all that information up on our website. So keep a lookout on the website and on our Telegram groups consistently for more information.
Yeah, we will approach all these firms and we'll be led by the advocates and solicitors that are already on our panel to give us the right type of leadership, and we have to talk to the firms first. As we did, we had to present ourselves and they had to check our credentials and make sure that there wasn't something else going on which is funny here. So we'll obviously, as this panel grows, we will be looking for firms to think, and there's no reason firms can't contact us and say, look, I want to stand up for people in my country, and then we will still put that to the panel. The panel will make decisions as to what. It's like the way we work in RAG as well. If you say, look, I'm going to stand up and help RAG, then you send us your bio, we have a look at your bio, and we do an investigation around you before we let you into the fold, before we make recommendations. We do everything we can to get the right quality of people and with the right qualifications and legal representation as well. We want registered people. We want people who are trackable and are not going to mislead the public, the investors, because that's the danger with this. Everybody gets on the bandwagon and tries to force people and lie to them and get them to sign things they shouldn't be signing. And you need information. You need to be accurate. But yes, we will talk to our partners and approach firms and get that up on the system as well.
Thank you. David from Colombia has a very important question that we've covered on other Zooms, but clearly not on an international, especially for the USA, audience. And that is, several acquaintances are concerned that they received an email from RAG from an MTI support email. And in his case, he has not received the email, but there's talk about this email. And I'll answer that because I'll keep it short and simple. Yes, David, there was an email. Did it come from us? Absolutely not. That just shows you that there's mistrust in the MTI management and whoever has access to the back office of MTI. us as a RAG committee, we do not have access to the MTI platform at all. We only are investors like yourself and so many on this Zoom, and we only have access to our own accounts. So that is misleading. So you need to understand there's so much misleading information in the public, misinformation sent out by MTI management, which should tell you a few things or two. And so that's why the information posted on our website and on our Telegram group is factual. What happens in these rooms are recorded and they're put on our website. It is factual information that you're getting from each and every one of us. So please understand that. I just want to share something from Willie Grob, who's on the call. What a sad story between me and my wife, Susan. We've lost 4.5 Bitcoin, and I hope that you'll recover it for us. God bless you, the wisdom to make the right decisions. And we're getting these kind of messages every single day. This has not hurt one or two households. This has had a ripple effect across the world. And you must know that and have trust in the team that's here, because we're in the right process of sorting it out and getting everybody some money back. So people are asking, have they filled out a form? Do they have to do another form? No, not at all. Just fill out the form, get it to the liquidators. That is step one. Step two, you will be told next week, once the liquidators have been nominated here in South Africa, and once we've had discussions with the international legal team, we'll be able to tell them what the next step is. But everything will be posted and available on the website. Somebody's just asked, what is the website? Again, www.getaquid.com. That is owned by the RAG committee. So you can go there and find that. Somebody called Dion Needwards is asking from New Jersey in USA if it is possible to now submit a form, because it looks like it's too late as far as the cutoff date.
Do it tonight, please. Just get that form in. And if you really are challenged and you've got a problem, just get the form in. I mean, it is important that you form part of the communication. I think it's important. There are a lot of people, we've had a lot of questions about people that I was conned into signing some document and things like that. What you have to do in that case is, if you've submitted something which you're not happy with, write to that, let's say we've had one or two cases of people saying, I've submitted a form to a liquidator, I didn't know all the facts, and I was panicking at the time. You have to then redact your nomination or form that you sent, and you send that to the liquidator concerned. So you just say, look, I'm withdrawing my support of you. Please put this on file and do not use my form as part of your presentation to the master of the court. Then you attach that document which you've sent to that person to the document that you now fill in, and you say, I have redacted this support to Joe Blogs firm, and this, please take this submission of mine and run with it. So you need to redact, and because there are problems with double presentations at the master. However, I don't think there are just too many of these for the master actually to go matching up all these forms. But it is a good idea if you want to redact something like that. And I also want to say that if you find that you've now got yourself in a position where you are ready to go and pay thousands of pounds or dollars, thousands of dollars for somebody to do some work for you, nothing needs to happen. Only critical thing is do your vote. The only other critical thing is then just keep your ear to the ground about the truth of what's going on in the system. And you will need help from your local legal teams to actually make sure that your presentation and stuff is done correctly. And you need to know that there's not anything wrong with that. Okay. Is there anything else? I want to try and wrap this up. We've been going 1.5 hours now.
We have got so many questions that have not been answered.
Okay. Shall we commit them to the website, or is there anything specific on those questions? Stefan, you're very quiet tonight. Are you asleep somewhere? Are you fallen off your chair? And
No,
Henry.
I'll come in
Chris,
now.
Chris, I'm still here. There are so many questions, and one question that keeps on coming up is people that are concerned. They've invested in Bitcoin and they want to be paid back in Bitcoin. And I don't know if we can maybe just quickly cover what the liquidation process means.
I think it's premature at the moment. The possibility of them being paid in Bitcoin exists. It's not off the table, but there is going to have to be a process there which will have to be clarified by the liquidators. And I think even the liquidator knows that that is a possibility, but it's not necessarily going to happen that way. The master of the court is going to have his say in that. And once he has his say in that, then we would be able to formulate, along with the legal teams involved, any challenge to that. Pierre, you've put on your lights. Are you back with us for a comment?
Yeah, Chris, you and I had this discussion, I think, earlier today or yesterday. I think it's unfamiliar territory, this, and it hasn't been definitely, as far as I know, and Christopher can come in here, but I'm not aware of any case where it's ever been even discussed whether it's possible to pay creditors in a South African liquidation situation anything else than in the South African currency. So it's uncharted waters. It's going to be interesting, but as you said, I don't think it would be responsible of any of us on this panel to now positively advise or take a stance and say yes, that can be done. It's certainly something that can be looked into, and it's going to be interesting. And it's not, and I would go as far as to say that it's not impossible, but it's not. Certainly not for us to now say, yes, don't worry, that can be done or will be done.
Yeah, there's no precedent at this stage of the game. Am I right, Christopher? Do you want to just comment on that?
Yes, no, I concur with that. Firstly, in terms of how we draft the liquidation distribution account, the Master of the High Court then looks at how the dividend is then paid out to each creditor or investor or member of MTI. I thought a lot about it, and I think we should make a suggestion to the Department of Justice and the Master's Office, maybe bring a court application asking for amendment to the Insolvency Act, stating that is it possible to say, okay, we'll pay the investors an X amount, worked out in rand, converted to dollars, converted to Bitcoin, and that will then. But that must be decided by the Master of the High Court. But technically now, if we liquidate any assets and we pay a creditor, it will be in rand value, converted then back to whatever currency it may be where the people are. So, but that's still uncharted territory in South Africa. But I think it's a possibility, and it most probably the way forward in any event. Some of the stuff must adapt to the in terms of the world. South Africa Insolvency Act also. I know there is a couple of amendments coming, but it will definitely, we will discuss it with all the top people in law. It's the International Insolvency Council, and see how they did it in Japan and all the other places that the same scenario happened in, and how they got it through to pay the people back into Bitcoin, which they did. So we'll maybe take that precedent and put it forward to the Master's Office.
Chris, can I just perhaps...
Yes,
sorry, Chris.
Sure, Pierre. Go ahead.
Just to add to that, I think one must just explain the technicality from the South African legal point of view with regard to these Bitcoins. As I understand the whole system of MTI is that each and every investor bought Bitcoin and then transferred it to MTI. So you're no longer the owner of a Bitcoin. you have a claim or an interest in respect of this so-called investment in Bitcoin. But the asset, the ownership of the asset went over to MTI. Now, as we all know, most probably all of these Bitcoins have now subsequently been transferred into another account holder or another wallet. So that person is now the account holder, at least, and MTI will have a claim as to the asset, the underlying asset sitting in that wallet. But the individual investor no longer has ownership of a specific Bitcoin or portion of a Bitcoin. And that's also part of the problem when you're coming back to a situation where you have now recovered all assets of MTI. That will include claims in respect of Bitcoins, getting Bitcoins back into MTI, but it's MTI's Bitcoins now that you've recovered. And of course, you're also going to recover money. You're going to recover assets from people that got dispositions without value or were preferred above other creditors. So you're going to recover assets in all formats of nominations, and some of it's going to be tangible, and it's going to all be auctioned off, and you're going to end up with South African currency. And I think that's the challenge that people must understand. It's not as if we are recovering Bitcoin in wallets in specific investors' names. I think we all understand that, but from a legal point of view, it doesn't mean that because you've invested one Bitcoin, you are now still the owner of one Bitcoin. That's unfortunately no longer the position.
Okay. All right. I think unless we've got any glaring elephants in the room that need to be handled, I'd like to just give every single panelist a moment to either ask a question, one last question, or to just give us a reflection from their side. And the challenge I put out, which I'd like everybody to just, if you've got an answer, great. If you haven't, then I just accept the point. I think the facts are very simple. Guys, we have to do everything in our power to get back control. And the only way we can do that is by appointing a liquidator. All these other things of trying to find Johan and Sherry's got this and that one's got that, and those things are not going to get us anywhere. It doesn't matter what we do. We have to follow the letter of the law. And that is where we get teeth, because that's a legal position. And the other thing which I said on a previous video is I hold to this. If these people are responsible, and they're responsible in terms of their family and friends, they will come to the fore and say, here I am. If they don't come to the fore and say, here I am, it spills over onto their integrity and also onto their families, because now our bulldogs have to go and find out where you are and what you are doing. And now it's going to affect your children and your family. If my father had done something like this, and he went up there and he said, I've done something really bad, and we need to solve this, or I fell off the horse and I had insomnia for 2 weeks, and then I just lost control. Whatever your excuse is. But if you stand up and admit to it, then the respect is still there, because you are coming into a maelstrom of problems that need to be solved if you are the perpetrator in this. If you don't, it just speaks to your character, and it also speaks to the fact that what's going to happen is everybody around you who are your friends are going to suffer from this. And that, unfortunately, that truth is also which drives us to ask the leaders who were inadvertently drawn into this, because your father came to you, or your brother came to you, or your uncle, or somebody came to you and said, look here, I'm making money. The uninformed investor is going to immediately think, wow, I've heard you can make money out of investment. And he's going to put his toe in the water, and he's going to he's going to see this wallet grow. And then all of a sudden he's roped into this, and he's innocent. He's not understanding the full extent of it. Even the worst thing about this thing was so well perpetrated that even people who've been in the investment world put their toes in the water. And I'm one of them. I've been in this investment world, and I've been trading since the time, and I've been writing programs to be able to trade, and I still do. But I was fooled by this bunch of guys. So I'm just as guilty as everybody else of having been part of this thing, but I'm an investor. But we need to draw together to get a solution now. Okay, so I've said enough now. You saying, Sharon, you're off.
I'm saying shush, but as I say that, Chris, I want you to answer this in a one sentence.
Okay, I'm going to try my best. One sentence, right, guys? Here's Chris's one sentence.
Okay. And unfortunately, I've lost it. But the question really was, and I apologize, I'm looking for it, that the RAG website doesn't seem secure. Is the information safe, etc., etc.? And I'm hoping I can find the person who asked that. But that's a question that can you please address?
Well, unfortunately, I don't care who we are. I mean, even the government's gone. I'm not going to put a challenge out there and say to people, my website is secure. It is as secure as we can make it. And there is security in the background. There's actually 3 or 4 levels of security, but we know what hackers are capable of. So I'm not going to challenge any hacker as far as that's concerned. And we've had about 4,000 attempts already of people trying to hack our website. I'm sure there's somebody out there that will manage it if they want, but we've done everything we possibly can, and we can prove we've spent a lot of money on making that as secure as we possibly can. But there's no challenge there, guys. Please, this is not the unsinkable ship. I'm not going to say that ever. It is as secure as anybody's thing is, and our data, in the end of the day, you know, what are you going to find on our website? Your name and stuff. And what's that going to do? We're not trading with your information. We are simply passing your information on to the relative authorities who can use that information. And we are a conduit. Our main objective is to get your contact information to keep you up to date. That's our objective. We want your contact information to keep you up to date. And if you've got information which you feel is the type of stuff you don't want to be associated with, but it is the information that needs to go to the authorities, then come to us and say, listen, I'm here, I've got information. Don't give it to us. You don't need to give it to us. We don't want to see it. We would rather say, look, go there, go and give it to that person over there. That's the person who needs that information. So we're not data mining. We need your community. We need your information so we can make contact with you and keep you up to date as to this process. That's our objective. Yes, Henry.
Yes, I would just like to, at the end of this, maybe just address some of the attendees on here. As we've all heard, we are running out of time at a rapid speed, and that's why some more questions come. Why have we not found this one or that one or whatever? This is a process that really started 2.5 weeks ago, and a lot has been accomplished up to this point in getting these panelists and expertise around a table. But Sharon is handling with some other members, and even Stefan on a daily basis are handling a lot of questions that have been repeated over and over and over. And what I have found is there are some MTI members at this point in time that are not even aware of what's happening in MTI. Some of them are on holiday. I took a small break just the last couple of days, and I realized that one of my members have elderly people in his organization that are not even aware what is happening. So this is where we need help of all the other investors that are now listening to us. I am an investor. I stuck up my hand and said, we need to do something. And suddenly Chris was on board. Hendrik was there. And what I realized was there are so many Telegram groups with trawlers and people coming through with false information. And we had to shut down all the negative communication from everywhere in a collaborative attempt in getting people to actually talk on one platform. Now, for a few of us to actually reach all the MTI members was a mammoth task, and we didn't even think as much when this thing started, but it's developed so over this last short period, and we are expanding. I was just looking on the Telegram group now, just to give you guys an indication. The Telegram group currently is standing on, I just want to close this little window, is standing on 11,485 members that are spreading the word of the website, where to find all this information. We have a triangular place where we gather information and point to one another, and that is the YouTube channel, the website, and the Telegram group. So I'm asking all the members out there, this is a call on all the MTI members. Some of you are only waking up now to the process. Some of you are worried that we are in South Africa, you're in the United States, or you're in the UK, or maybe somewhere in Europe. You guys need to send these links to all your networks, because we are, as Chris rightly says, we are managing the narrative, and we are cutting out all the negative talk and trying to give you, we are really working hard to give you exact information, verified information, and not speculation out there. So get your members, get the information out to your members to come and look at the website and join us in this effort. Time is of the essence to get these documents in, and we still need to talk to the Europeans and to the Asians and to Australia and to New Zealand, and I think I make myself clear in that. So I'm just asking you guys, jump in.
Yeah. Can I just add to that? I think the important thing there is exactly what Henry has said to us. I also just want to make it clear that he alludes to MTI members. We are investors. We are MTI investors in the end. To me, we're not part of the membership group of MTI. I mean, we become members because we are part of the group. But in actual fact, I've tried to get away from that, because when we say members, it creates a problem for us. We are not members of the MTI group or part of MTI. We are investors. So I think we need to make sure that that's the way that we actually talk and say to people as well. It's just semantics, and I think we have to be careful with that, because we have to be careful how that is interpreted by everybody else. I'm going to really just go around the room now and try and remember who I said, because this thing keeps shifting around. So can we just wrap this up, each person quickly, if they've got a word for us? Gabe, you've been very quiet and standing up and walking and drinking water, and you haven't said a word at this stage. Would you like to give us some words of wisdom here?
First of all, I need to figure out how to unmute myself.
Okay.
I just echo what you've said, and I think it's important that everyone make their nomination of the liquidator.
Okay. All right. Okay, and then Gretchen, would you like to give us some words of wisdom?
I have no words of wisdom. My heart is breaking for all of you. I have done many cases like these, and they are always very, very ugly. And hopefully we can press this forward and come to a resolution that will be, as you said, and I think it's true, ultimately a light that's the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train.
Okay, thanks. And Sharon?
Chris, there's so many questions. I just encourage everybody to go to the website. We have a comment section. Fill in your question. We will stay up many more nights if we have to and get those questions answered. Know that you've got the right team behind you. Know that we are all fighting for the same thing. So I just hope that we can all be on the same page. Just spread the
Yeah, I think I'd rather just throw that the other way because of the technical side of it. If you've got a question, chuck it on our "How can we help" page on the contacts, and I'll explain why on that. Because that way you are added to our database. Your email address is added to our database, and we're not going to spam you guys. We are going to just give you development information. I promise you that we will do no outside selling. We will have no adverts on there. You will simply get information. You could just click on there if you want to read it or not. And if you've got to do an urgent reaction or whatever, we'll say, go and see your solicitor or do this or do that and get your documents verified and get them into us, whatever. So, but you'll be kept up to date of the thing. So you go to our website, you check your email on there, and we're using MailChimp. Everybody knows how MailChimp works. If you don't like us, you just take us off, and that's the end of it. So, and we will not send out emails where you can't get yourself taken off our mailing lists. We're not going to do that. We are going to just give you information, and we'll look after your data as best we can. And honestly, I mean, saying we're not secure and all the rest of that, we use 2FA a lot. We do all sorts of stuff to try and keep things safe. It's an HTTPS website, and it doesn't talk to you if you don't talk to us in HTTPS. So it's very simple. You try and get into our website without HTTPS, you're cut out. So that's just for the people who know what's going on. So if you want to hack us, you need to be doing it through HTTPS. All right. So that's where we are at the moment. With that, Sharon, thank you for that. So please rather fill in our forms. It's better for us, because transferring information from a comments thing is not a good thing. But do tell us that we are trying to do a good job in the comments. That's always helpful. It does help the teams when they're blurry-eyed and red shot and have to stand around and drink water all the time, like Gabe over there. And I'm sure he's standing up because he's afraid of falling over and going to sleep. I think that's true for the South Africans anyway. Stuart, would you like to have a word? Stuart?
No, just quickly, I just want to say thank you. And I've done my best. I've answered a number of emails that have been sent to me already. And I'm CC'd Chris, both you and the rest of the team here. And like I said, we look forward to helping any of the US investors. And I've already sent emails out to some of the UK, the Canadian, and the Netherlands lawyers, and I should be hearing back from them tomorrow morning, and we'll have a lot more information to be sharing with the website and with you guys, and look forward to working with everybody. And as Gretchen said, I think she said it quite well, our hearts break for anyone who invested and has lost money. I know it's hard-earned money, and we'll do everything we can to help people.
Yeah, thank you for that. And really, I just keep saying thanks for you guys coming on board. We really appreciate that. Your accolades were highly sung by our advocates as well, who've worked with your group before. And they said, look, if these guys come on board, they'll help us a lot. So I know that's going to be real. Thank you for that. Daryl, thank you for your involvement there. Do you have a word for us, Daryl?
Thanks, Chris. No, I would just echo and reiterate what you said. This is a process, and there's steps to that process. The first step is to get the appointment of the liquidator. And so you get your forms in to appoint the liquidator. In the meantime, the investors should be collecting all their documents, whether it be funds histories, withdrawals histories, take the screenshots that need to be taken, gather up your evidence so that when it comes time to submit the claims, you have all your documents prepared and you have the information to put down. You can validate your claims and get them to the creditors, and then there will be the meeting of the creditors, and there's processes that will take place and steps that will take place. So it's not a sprint, but it's going to be a marathon. But there is, as you say, a light at the end of the tunnel. With that,
okay,
all I have to say.
Thanks, Daryl. Stefan, would you like a comment or a question?
I would just like to say that on behalf of the investors, that we are truly appreciative and grateful for all the experts that's come aboard and has so graciously shared their knowledge and experience with us, and who are working together to the benefit of the investors. Thank you, everybody. We truly appreciate the time that you spent and the expertise that you bring to the table. Thank you.
Hendrik?
So let's just say thank you to American counterparts for coming on board and to assist in acting in the best interest of all the investors in MTI. And we're looking forward to walking or running a marathon with you guys so that we can get to the finishing line, and then that will be in the best interest of all that invested in MTI. Thank you again very much.
Advocate Turby.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. From my side, I'm also looking forward to work with our counterparts from America and from wherever. We have to do whatever is necessary in order to wind up this company successfully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pierre. Pierre.
Yeah, Chris, thank you. No, there's not much that I want to add. I think I'm itching. I'm looking forward to this. There's a lot of work to be done, and it's going to be a privilege to hopefully be part of this and to also work with our international colleagues. Looking forward to that.
Okay, Christopher.
Hi everyone. Yes, I would also like to thank everybody that's taking part, especially the RAG team that did all this information and build the website, getting all the people together, acting in the best interest of all the creditors and assisting them. I think there's already a great team. I know the team that we have is especially great. Our mission is to do the best and to recover as much money as possible and to hold everybody accountable without fear or prejudice and favor. So we're going to act swiftly and we're going to do our work like we have to and must do and act in the best interest of the creditors. We're looking forward to doing this, and I know there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening, so watch this space. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Henry, would you like to say something? Henry?
Yes, there I am. Yes, thank you, Chris, for correcting my terminology there. If I say a member, I'm an investing member, and we are not part of corporate. That is very important. Thank you very much, Chris, for bringing this Zoom call to us. Thank you for all the panelists. Some of you I have not even directly spoken with over here, but I really believe that we've got something going as a collaborative effort for all the members out there. I keep on referring to member because this is how we knew ourselves. We were investing members in the business, and we just want to take hands with all of them as far as possible, get the word spread out where they can come to us. And this is just, I think, what is the only pressing thing on my heart is to let the people use their networks and spread this. You know, if you have 10 members in your network and you are looking at this and you're not sure, send these links, because someone in your network is going to know someone in another country that's going to say, oh my goodness, we didn't even know about a team that was put together, and we can get solid information from there. That's basically what I want to say, and just thank you for everyone's participation. And I'm going to try and get a little bit more sleep because it's always 5 o'clock in the morning in South Africa. Thank you, guys.
Listen, I just want to say thank you, everybody. Have a great new year. I think that's the big thing. This is a new year and a new beginning for all of us. And we have to reinvent ourselves in this new year. And we also have to get on top of this. These two viruses that we're tackling at this stage, we've got the virus itself and the rest of the viruses. So thank you, everybody. And thank you for your time. Stuart, Gretchen, Gabe, and Daryl, you guys have been absolutely great on this thing. And I really hope that we can form a synergy across the world to tackle this thing, because that way we will be successful. And I am absolutely sure of it. If we can get everybody to concentrate their focus on doing this in the correct way and show the world that the law is still the right way to do it. And I like that. I want to be part of a group that will do this in a legal fashion. I'm not going after anybody's kneecaps. We don't need to do that. thank you for that. I'm proud of you all. That's really brilliant this evening. Thank you. It's a privilege.
Happy New Year. Stay safe and look forward to communicating with all of you.
It's a privilege working with you people. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Right.
I'm going to end the call now. Thank you. God bless and be safe.
Right.
Thank you.